This is war. This is a declaration and an execution of an attack on the United States.
September 11th changed the world. Our deepest fears now haunt us. Yet I am convinced that military action will not prevent further acts of international terrorism against the United States. This is a very complex and complicated matter. Now, this resolution will pass, although we all know that the president can wage a war even without it. However difficult this vote may be, some of us must urge the use of restraint.
Barbara Lee will be remembered historically for having been an independent thinker and an independent voice at a moment where there was a real groundswell in favor of sort of reflexive military action in lots of different places. After September 11th, the country was obviously riled up in lots of different ways. It was very easy to get people to support taking action, to do something, and very hard and often unpopular to be a skeptic.
Let's just pause just for a minute and think through the implications of our actions today so that this does not spiral out of control.
It was a very emotional and very scary environment. And everyone wanted to be unified with the president to retaliate.
And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
It was a 60-word authorization, and all it said was that the president's authorized to use force based on national security interests as it relates to 9/11. I don't even know how many members read it. It was so overly broad. It was a blank check, and I knew that I was elected to represent and to show leadership also, and that there was no way I could violate my constitutional responsibility and give over any authority to use force in perpetuity forever.
Representative Lee was in a distinct minority for a long, long time, but with the fullness of time, of course, her skepticism, I think, has been borne out.
What do you think that the United States' ongoing commitment and involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan should be?
We need to repeal the authorization for use of military force that was passed in 2001, 2002, and 2003, which we're still using to justify having troops in combat.
I thought that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am, but that's still in effect? I thought that had lapsed at some point. Those 60 words are still what everything is based on?
This authorization has been used over and over and over again.
U.S. forces are and have been engaged in counterterrorism operations in Yemen, Somalia, Ethiopia, Libya, Chad.
It's actually kind of hard to keep track of all of the places the United States has been engaged since 2001, 2002. And in fact, the Trump administration even argued that the assassination of the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani fell under the authorization of the 2001-2002 AUMFs.
You believe that this was authorized by the 2002, the Authorization for the Use of Military Force Act, correct?
They're correct. There were numerous grounds for this, Judge. First of all, as the Commander-in-Chief, it's well accepted that the President has the inherent authority to defend American troops when they're subject to attack.
This, in effect, allows presidents to use force pretty much anywhere they want to with some kind of loose justification that it somehow connects to the war on terror.
We're using a short authorization passed a week after 9/11 to kill people that weren't even born on 9/11 that belong to groups that have been officially excommunicated from al-Qaeda.
And let's be clear, Congress has, over the past decade, not adequately exercised our prerogative, allowing presidents to abuse that authority for decades.
The Constitution says it's Congress, not the president, who decides when to declare war, and an authorization to military force is exactly the constitutional role that I think our Constitution envisions.
Madison wrote that the executive branch is the branch most prone to go to war. Therefore, the Constitution, with studied care, vested that power in the Congress.
Not the president, not the Pentagon, not someone else in the executive branch, not any other part of government.
Congress declares war. It's not something that's done on the whim of a president or his immediate circle of advisors.
We in Washington need to do our job and have the tough conversations and the tough vote about what we want our troops to do, because you know they're going to step up and do their jobs. When we ask them to, we in Congress should do ours.